Look, I'm about to say something that's going to make half of you think I've lost my mind. What if I told you that the front office is considering giving up 4 players for a single arm? And before you start typing in the comments that I'm insane, here's the thing that nobody's talking about. This might actually be the smartest move they could possibly make right now. The real talk is that when you look at what's happening across the league, when you look at what other contenders are doing, when you really break down the math of what it takes to win it all in October, this type of all-in move might be the only path forward. But here's the question that should keep you up at night. If this trade happens, are we watching the birth of the most unstoppable rotation in modern baseball history, or are we about to mortgage the entire future for one arm that could break down at any moment? All right, let me pull back the curtain here. We're talking about Tarik Skubal, the reigning American League Cy Young winner, the guy who absolutely dominated last season with an ERA under 2.40. And according to Mark Powell from Fansided, the Dodgers are supposedly considering a package that would send Emmett Sheehan, Alex Freeland, Zachary Root, and Patrick Copen to the Detroit Tigers. And before we go any further, if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to break down why this trade proposal is either genius or complete madness, and you're going to want to be part of this conversation. Seriously, click it. I'll wait. Now, here's where things get really interesting. This channel is all about giving you the analysis that the mainstream media won't touch. We're not here to give you surface-level hot takes. We're here to dig deep, to look at the scenarios that nobody else is exploring, to ask the uncomfortable questions that need to be asked. And this Skubal situation, this is exactly the type of move that defines championship windows. This is the type of decision that front offices either look like geniuses for making or get fired for in 2 years. So stick with me here, because what I'm about to show you is going to change how you think about this entire roster construction. Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. The strongest argument against this trade is obvious. You're trading away 4 controllable assets for one pitcher who's going to hit free agency eventually. Emmett Sheehan has shown flashes of being a legitimate major league starter. Alex Freeland is a top 100 prospect who could solve a position of need. You're basically putting all your eggs in one basket, and if Skubal gets injured or doesn't perform, you've gutted your organizational depth for nothing. But here's why that argument falls apart under scrutiny. The Dodgers aren't building for 2030. They're building for 2026. You've got Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman all in their prime competitive windows right now. The time to win isn't 3 years from now when these prospects might be ready. The time to win is October 2026. Let me walk you through exactly how this trade makes sense for both sides, because this isn't just about the Dodgers getting their guy. This has to work for Detroit too. The Dodgers receive Tarik Skubal. The Tigers receive Emmett Sheehan, Alex Freeland, Zachary Root, Patrick Copen for the Dodgers. You're creating a rotation that would be Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Skubal, and Tyler Glasnow when healthy. That's 5 aces. That's a rotation where your 5th starter would be the number 1 on 15 other teams. In a 7-game series, you could theoretically never face an opponent's ace with anything less than your own ace. For Detroit, here's why they say yes. Sheehan gives them an immediate major league ready arm to slot into their rotation. He's not a prospect anymore. He's a guy who can eat innings right now. Freeland solves their third base problem for the next 6 years, potentially. Root and Copen give them lottery tickets in the farm system that could turn into rotation pieces or bullpen depth. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. What if the Tigers demand more? What if they say, we want Zyhir Hope instead of one of these other pieces? Because let me tell you, if I'm Detroit's GM, that's exactly what I'm asking for. Hope is the type of high-ceiling prospect that could be a cornerstone player. Okay, here's where I'm going to get wild with it, and you can absolutely call me crazy in the comments. What if this Skubal trade is just the beginning? What if the Dodgers are planning to flip Bobby Miller in a separate deal, use that return to replenish some of the prospect capital they're giving up for Skubal, and basically create a rotation carousel where they're constantly upgrading at the deadline? Think about it. You trade for Skubal now. You move Miller to Atlanta for J.R. Ritchie and Patrick Clohessy, like we've been hearing about. Suddenly, you've got Skubal locked in. You've gotten value for Miller before he completely bottoms out, and you've added another high upside arm in Ritchie who can develop in AAA. That's asset management at the highest level. Or here's another insane thought. What if they're not done? What if acquiring Skubal is the first domino, and then they pivot to trading some of their outfield depth for another impact bat? You could theoretically create a roster where you've got 6 legitimate aces between your rotation and high-leverage relievers, plus the best offense in baseball. Call me insane. I dare you. Skubal comes over and puts up a sub-2.50 ERA. The rotation becomes completely untouchable. The Dodgers cruise through the playoffs with a rotation where they can go Ohtani, Yamamoto, Skubal in a 7-game series and never let the opponent breathe. They win the World Series. Skubal re-signs on a team-friendly deal because he loves winning, and this trade goes down as one of the most lopsided victories in franchise history. Skubal's arm doesn't hold up under the workload. He hits the injured list in June with shoulder inflammation. The prospects the Dodgers gave up all develop into solid major leaguers for Detroit. Sheehan becomes a consistent 3 ERA starter. Freeland wins a Gold Glove at third base. The Dodgers miss the playoffs entirely because their rotation depth is completely shot, and the front office has to answer some very uncomfortable questions about why they mortgage the future. Skubal is very good but not transcendent. He gives you a 3.20 ERA over 30 starts, which is excellent, but not Cy Young level. The Dodgers make the playoffs. Skubal gives them 1 or 2 big playoff starts, but they lose in the championship series. The prospects turn into average major leaguers, nothing special but solid contributors. It's not a disaster, but it's not the home run everyone hoped for either. And then the Dodgers have to decide if they're going to pay Skubal $250 million in free agency. The real question isn't whether this trade makes sense on paper. The question is whether the Dodgers are willing to go all in right now and deal with the consequences later. And honestly, given where this roster is, given the window they're working with, given what it takes to win in October, I think they have to do it. So what do you think? Am I crazy for supporting this? Would you pull the trigger on 4 players for Skubal? Let me know in the comments, and let's have a real conversation about what it takes to build a championship roster in 2026.